Things are not going excellent in regards to China. Beijing, which is China, says we will never dance to Trump's tune. 1 day to go until the Trump administration launches the first salvo in what could develop into a full-scale trade war between the United States and China. There is the issue of diplomatic, hopeful resolution of escalating the situation in North Korea. A diplomatic, hopefully, a resolution of escalating situations in North Korea. One which City today said is increasingly likely to involve military action. Yeah, well, I would have to agree. I think that unless the Western world is willing to accept Kim Jong-un having the capability to blow the Western world up and perhaps blow up the rest of the world, unless they're willing to accept that, in other words, he has the big red button and he can push it and blow everybody up in the whole world. And the reason why he'll have that big red button is those two ICBMs he tested, he was desperate to test them. Even knowing that it would upset everybody, upset the apple cart for him, still he tested them anyway. And there's a reason for that. The reason why he tested them is because he's going to go into mass production of that particular weapon system. And that's a delivery system. That delivers the nuclear payload that blows up a city. And he's going to build as many as he can as fast as he possibly can build them. And he's probably already underway. He's probably already building them in his factories as fast as he can. So that's what's going on. He wants that capability. And never underestimate how many he can build and how fast he can build them. And so if you're okay with that, if you say, well, we're going to allow him to have all those and to have the capability to blow up the Western world, well, then it's fine. You don't have to go to war with him. You can just let him have that capability and let him build up as many weapons as he wants. But if you don't want him to have that ability, and you don't want him to be able to blow up the Western world, then you're going to have to go in and do something about it, because he ain't going to give them up, and he's going to build as many as he can as fast as he can. Those are the simple facts in the situation. So it says here that the North Korea, it says it is increasingly likely that this is going to be a military situation. In other words, involve military action. Is increasingly likely. And that's the reason why. What I just said. On this issue, China is becoming increasingly displeased with Trump's relentless Twitter badgering. In other words, Trump's asking China to do something. And they don't really want to do it. They don't really want to do anything. And they don't have to, really. When it comes right down to it, North Korea is a sovereign nation. And when it comes right down to it, China's a different nation than North Korea. And China, if they want to, they don't have to do anything with regard to North Korea. They don't have to. They can do what they want. And so they don't want to do whatever, and they see it, Trump's relentless. So it says China is becoming increasingly displeased with Trump's relentless Twitter badgering. And as AFP reports, Trump-style outbursts are no way to get China to bend to the United States' will. And when it comes right down to it, China does not have to do what the United States tells them to do. They don't have to. They have their own free will to do as they please. You see? So it says the animosity between Washington, D.C. and Beijing has been building up for months, as the two capitals have long traded blame over the future to rein in the North Koreans. Well, my personal opinion is now they're starting to throw blame around. about North Korea. But could there be a possibility that even if China had tried to do something and it wouldn't have worked? Can we explore that possibility and say to ourselves, what if China had really tried hard to do something? It might not have worked anyway. Because North Korea, they're their own free agents too, and they've made a decision. And North Koreans' decision, as far as I understand it, is to proliferate their nuclear weapons as fast as possible. And that's their decision. And no matter what anybody would have done, they might have done the same thing. Because that's their decision. And so, if that's North Korea's decision, to proliferate their weapons as fast as possible, and then launch an attack and turn America into a sea of fire, then the fault is not America's fault, and it's not China's fault either. It's North Korea's fault. Because North Korea made the decision to do that. That's the way I see it. So why blame each other? You know, the thing is try to work together. You know, if that's possible. But at this point in the game, this is when they're starting to throw blame, and they're trading blame over the future to rein in North Korea. But last week's breakthrough in North Korean missile technology has raised the specter of a strike by Pyongyang on American cities, escalating the rhetoric. I am very disappointed in China, President Donald Trump tweeted, after the North boasted last week that the entire mainland United States was within range of its intercontinental ballistic missiles. Donald Trump says, I'm very disappointed in China. Well, what he should be saying is, I'm very disappointed in North Korea. Because China is a different country, and the North is the ones that actually are doing this. This is coming out of the North. Our foolish past leaders have allowed them to make hundreds of billions of dollars a year in trade, and they do nothing for us with North Korea. Just talk. The North Koreans have set on a course now, at this point. And at this point, it's not doing any good to blame and point fingers. What we have to really get down to the nitty-gritty of the whole thing, and we have to say, what are we going to do about North Korea? Are we going to allow them to blow us up and sit back and do nothing? Or are we just going to shut up and do something about it? So are we going to shut up and do something about it? Or are we going to shut up and let them blow us up? Either way, the time for talk is coming to an end now at this point. Time for blaming people is coming to an end. We need to resign ourselves to the fact that we either do something or we don't. Simple as that. And the options are, if we don't do something, that means that we're going to accept North Korea being able to have the capability. And if we do something, well, that's simple. We've done it. We've done whatever we're going to do. So it's the time for talk is over now at this point. Now it's the time to either do or don't do. One of the two. And that's the way it's going to go. It's either that's what's going to happen, or either it's going to happen or it isn't. And if it doesn't happen within about a year or two, North Korea will have the capability, because they're not going to stop. Anybody out there who believes that North Korea is just going to give up on their nuclear weapon proliferation at this point is not a ghost of a chance that that's going to happen. So that's a given at this point. Okay, so I'll read on further. While China, North Korea's main trading partner and ally, has repeatedly countered that it does not hold the key to the crisis and has rejected Trump's attempts to link the issue to the trade relationship, keeping official responses to Trump's 140-character outbursts restrained. State media has been less muted. Trump is quite a personality. An opinion piece published Monday by the XINHUA state news agency said, but emotional venting cannot become a guiding policy for solving the nuclear issue. Even less should the U.S. stab China in the back. It is not just Trump who has repeatedly urged China to use its economic sway over North Korea to curb the regime's nuclear program. Even Beijing insists dialogue is the only practical way forward. Recently, Rex Tillerson derided China and Russia as economic enablers that bear a unique special responsibility for the growing threat posed by the North. And the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, spurned a UN response to the latest ICBM launch in favor of bomber flights and missile defense system tests, saying that the time for talk on North Korea was over. Such admonishments will not change the way China operates, analysts say. Trump might be brash and have an in-your-face blunt style, but Beijing's approach to Washington stays relatively the same. China-U.S. relations expert at the University of Hong Kong told AFP. So, China, it says that Trump has an in-your-face blunt style, but it says Beijing's approach to Washington stays relatively the same. So, they're remaining calm. China's remaining calm on the situation. It says, while Trump tweets his position to the world, Beijing keeps its cards closer to its chest. China will never dance to Trump's tune. And with today's America weaker and more isolated in the world, China has even less reason to respond, he said. Meanwhile, Beijing's authorities have reacted with caution to Trump's unpredictable remarks, which have ranged from describing the country as a currency manipulator to calling President Xi Jinping a very good man. Relations have warmed following Trump's pledge to honor the key One China policy and Xi's visit to Trump's Key Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida this April. But they have since soured again over North Korea. Well, I can see why it's soured over North Korea, because North Korea has been a problem. They are a real problem. And I don't think they're just a problem for the United States. I think they're a problem for China as well. Because North Korea is absolutely determined on nuclear proliferation. I'm going to tell you, leave North Korea alone for the next 5 years and don't do anything about them, and they might be a more powerful nuclear power than China herself in the end. Another 5 more years down the road. What's going to stop them from building hundreds, if not thousands, of ICBMs with nuclear warheads on board? You know, or perhaps nerve gas agents on board, or perhaps viral weapons on board the warheads. You know? Maybe they don't have enough reactors to produce thousands of nuclear warheads, but they could probably produce 100 or more. And the rest of them, they could put things like chemical and biological weapons on board. You know, and I mean, even if a nuclear weapon doesn't blow off in your city, if they blow off some sort of a gosh knows what they'd put in the warhead. You know? And if they got the delivery system, these are the delivery system now, they're in mass production in North Korea. And it says, I'll read on, it says, and while we wait for the official announcement of Trump's trade probe into China's intellectual property and trade practices, it's already took steps to further antagonize Beijing. While in June, the U.S. slapped unprecedented sanctions on Chinese bank accused of laundering North Korean cash after Trump tweeted that China's efforts to curtail North Korea's nuclear program had not worked out. See, there's a cooling of relations here between between America and China. And there's an extreme cooling of relations between America and Russia. Russia just yesterday said that a trade war, it's on. It's on. And here's a trade war brewing between the United States and China. And so the United States is isolating the U.S. dollar at this point. And there's going to be a day of reckoning for the United States dollar, and very soon. Part of all of this is going to fall on the dollar. The dollar is going to fall on its own sword. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. Let me check the U.S. dollar index right now real quick. The U.S. dollar index, if you didn't know, has been falling and falling and falling. 92.79 right now. So it's certainly not up today. Let's take a look over the range for the last, can I get a week? Oh, okay, I can get a month. Well, all I see in the last month is at like 96, 95, 94, 93, 92. That's all I see for the last month in the U.S. dollar index. So this all is not looking pretty. Everything's looking worse and worse as time's moving by. And I'm going to tell you, U.S. relations with China, U.S. relations with Russia right now are probably worse than they were during the Cold War. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next issue. Bye.